Hello and welcome. You're watching the Weekend Debate with me, Shehbaz Sharif. Ladies and gentlemen, the newly elected parliament in Pakistan has elected Shehbaz Sharif as the Prime Minister for a second term. Now, the session of the new parliament was convened amid ruckus and sloganeering by PTI-backed lawmakers. This comes 3 weeks after a general election filled with controversies over alleged intimidation and hideous vote rigging. Shehbaz and his former rival, Bhutto Zardari, settled their differences to claim the majority in the assembly and select Shehbaz as the Prime Minister. In Punjab, Maryam Nawaz Sharif, former Prime Minister, Nawaz Sharif's daughter, is the new Chief Minister. Despite the powerful coalition between the PMLN and the PPP, former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has visibly demonstrated his power as independent political force and his open defiance of the established military order. The 18-month-long coalition arrangement between Shehbaz and Bhutto's marks the beginning of a vulnerable government in Pakistan, which is still feeling the fallout of an extended economic crisis and a crucial IMF bailout still hanging in the balance. However, Shehbaz Sharif has raked up Kashmir minutes after being selected Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing is absolutely clear. This is the same old vicious Pakistan with a new government. But what impact does it have globally? That's the weekend debate. Almost a month after Pakistan went to polls and after a lot of talks and politicking, Shehbaz Sharif of the PMLN has been selected to run the country for the second time. Now, with the help of former political rival turned ally Pakistan People's Party. In fact, here's more on the story and the concerns that revolves around Shehbaz Sharif as the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Remember, the first very speech that he has made, the maiden speech, only rakes up old issues. Not a single word has been spoken about what perhaps would be the roadmap in order to bring Pakistan on the negotiating table and whether at all they would be able to come out of the debt trap that they have got into. Take a look at this report and then we begin the weekend debate.
Shehbaz Sharif, a brother of three-time former Pakistan PM Nawaz Sharif, will take the Prime Minister's oath for the second time. The announcement comes a full 24 days after his fate was sealed in a ballot. With no party securing a clear majority and parties struggling to strike an alliance to form a government.
जिनको भी मैंडेट मिला है, हम दिल की गहराइयों से एहतराम करते हैं, चाहे वो पार्टी है, चाहे वो फर्द वाहिद है, चाहे वो आजाद लोग हैं, हम उनका भी एहतराम करते हैं। हम उनको भी दावत देते हैं कि इस जख्मी पाकिस्तान को मुश्किलात से निकालने के लिए आओ हमारे साथ बैठो।
But when the votes were counted, the Sharifs came in second after independence backed by jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Shehbaz now will lead a shaky government with external support of his party's long-term rival turned ally, the Bhutto Zardari-run Pakistan People's Party. Shehbaz retakes the reins of a broke Pakistan as the country faces strong and multiple headwinds that are both internal and external.
ये पैसे मांगने आ गए हैं तो मैंने कहा कि ये पाकिस्तान एक मिसाल इसकी ये है कि एक हाथ में हमारे एक न्यूक्लियर ताकत है और दूसरे हाथ में कशकोर। ये आग और पानी का ये कब तक ये मिलाप हो नहीं सकता, कब तक?
The heavily indebted nation, perpetually on the vigil on its frontier with India, is also now engaged on its borders with Iran and Afghanistan.
نیم ټوټه افغانستان نن جلا ده د خط دیورن نه اخواته واقع ده. دا په داسې حال کې چې موږ خط دیورن په ټول عمر کې نه په رسمیت پیژندلې او نه پیژنو. دا غ فرضي کرخه ده چې انګريزانو د افغانانو په زړه باندې تیر کړی ده. او نن زمونږ په گاوند کې زمونږ شرق همسایه په ډیر ظالمانه صورت سره مهاجرین لغجر آباسي او ورته وایي چې تاسو خپل وطن ته ولاړ شئ.
Elections in any country are harbingers of change. But in Pakistan, with the military pulling the strings from behind the scenes, a change is not what one expects.
आए हम आज एक सब यकजान दो कालिब हो जाएं और फ़लस्तीन और गज़ा की जो बदतरीन जो वहाँ पर जुल्म ढाए जा रहे हैं, कश्मीर में जो बदतरीन जुल्म ढाए जा रहे हैं, उनके ऊपर पाकिस्तान न सिर्फ अपना असूली मौक़िफ़ लेके आए, बल्कि ये ऐवान आज एक करारदाद पास करे शदीद मज़म्मत की और कश्मीरियों और फ़लस्तीनियों की उनके हकूक़ की, उनकी आज़ादी की, कि उसके बगैर आज का ये ऐवान की ये कार्रवाई नामुकम्मल रहेगी.
For now, it seems the beleaguered nation is singing the same old tune. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Well, has anything really changed in Pakistan? For more on this, I am also joined by my colleague Kaswar, Republic reporter, joining us from outside the parliament in Islamabad, getting us the latest details. Kaswar, you've been tracking this very closely. It does not come across as a major surprise. Shehbaz Sharif is someone that you had already indicated would become the Prime Minister of Pakistan. But the fact of the matter is this, that people of Pakistan did not choose the PMLN or, for that matter, PPP. Are they okay with the idea that once again they're raking up the same old issues which may not find any sort of resonance with the people of Pakistan, because they too seem to be completely tired with the agenda that was peddled by the military?
Well, Shehbaz, you exactly pointed out. People of Pakistan have not elected these guys who are going to rule Pakistan for next 5 years. Apparently, that's true, because Imran Khan, who is languishing in jail, still is one of most popular politicians in Pakistan. His party have been crying foul for a long time. Even when this parliament, lower house of parliament, elected Shehbaz Sharif as the leader of the house, Imran Khan's party have been shouting mandate chore, mandate thieves, and other type of these slogans as well. One thing is for sure, that is Pakistan is passing through serious and multiple crises, including deteriorating, land of law and order, and fragile economy as well. Followed by these elections, one thing is crystal clear, that Pakistan army continues to rule Pakistan, and this has been happening for decades in Pakistan. And now, whenever they want, which party they want, they can select and they can elect them, send them into power as well. This is what the people of Pakistan have been realizing for a long time. This time, they voted Imran Khan into power, but unfortunately, the circumstances in Pakistan as well. Now we have elected Prime Minister, elected Parliament in Pakistan as well. But still, as you have rightly pointed out, that it doesn't mean that this Parliament, this Prime Minister, his cabinet is going to steer Pakistan out of crisis. This is not happening, because it was the same Pakistan Democratic Movement Alliance which we have seen during the last 18 months, and they could not do any wonder. And now the people of Pakistan are pretty sure that this type of government is not going to steer, not going to steer Pakistan out of crisis, multiple crises, economic, law and order, other things as well. Imagine Pakistan in the east does not have good relationships with India. Same is the condition at its western border, Afghanistan and Iran as well. So multiple challenges wait for Pakistani government, and I am not sure if Shehbaz Sharif has the guts to steer Pakistan to come out of these burning issues, Shaman.
Well, that was our intrepid reporter Kaswar getting us that live report from Islamabad. Let me also begin the weekend debate. I'll request you, Kaswar, to stay on with us, because sometimes what happens is that our friends on the Pakistani side, they have the tendency to perhaps defend the indefensible at this point in time. But let's try and break this down. What ramifications does it really have across the subcontinent? Joining us on the weekend debate tonight, Shehbaz Sharif, Senior Fellow of the ORF, Dr. Amjad Ayub Mirza, activist, joining us from London, Dr. Joseph Jalil, author and publisher, joining us from Florida, Andrew Lewing, international independent China strategist, joining us from Hong Kong, and Usma Zahid, journalist, joining us from Pakistan. Sushant, I want to begin by asking you this question. Economy of Pakistan is on the brink of collapse. The very fact that the IMF program comes to an end by this month, they will have to seek for yet another term, which may be far more difficult for them. But what I find perhaps not very surprising, the maiden speech of the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who makes no reference of what the economic roadmap would be like. While many of us would like to take it lightly, but it will have its own ramifications across the subcontinent.
That's correct, Shravan. The problem is that in your initial report, you were saying that it's the same old tune that the Pakistanis are singing. Same old tune because they have no new ideas. Keep regurgitating those ideas. Even the election campaign of the guys who lost the election but have gone on to form the government with a slate of hand. What was the new thing they were bringing onto the table? Everybody around the world knows, including the Pakistanis know, that right now their existential challenge is actually economy. And they really have no clear idea or roadmap on how to fix it. Yes, IMF is a possible approach. They will have to go to the IMF. I don't think there's any choice. Maybe Shehbaz Sharif didn't want to, administer the bitter pill in his first speech. That's quite possible. So he thought the easy thing to do is keep, doing rabble rousing on Palestine and Kashmir. People in Kashmir are far more prosperous and much better off than people in Pakistan. Palestine, of course, they've called it upon themselves with their terror attacks on the 7th of October. But the problem for Pakistan is not what is happening in Kashmir and in Palestine. The problem is what is happening in Pakistan, what is happening in their western borderland, what is happening in terms of their relationship with Afghanistan as well as Iran, and the fact that when their iron brother China is also starting to put out money and not giving them any money to run their shop. Uh, Really, they are at their wits' end, and they have these grand plans. When army officers, without an iota of information on how an economy works, start saying that okay, in the next 2 years we'll get $70 billion, $100 billion. I don't know where they get these figures from. Can you absorb $70 billion in 2 years? The Chinese have invested $26 billion over the last 10 years, and they have not been able to absorb that. There are certain laws of economics. If you don't even know the fundamental laws of economics, and of course you will not know them because a chartered accountant prances about like an economist, and that chartered accountant is likely to become the next finance minister. He's made a hack of the Pakistan economy in the past. He'll do it again. But because he again, no new ideas, and because he's a relative of the first family, he'll be made the finance minister. That's what the grapevine is. So, frankly, I think they are in a tunnel without any light. And if there is any light, it's that train which is heading towards them. And Shehbaz Sharif's first speech, which should have been, everybody knew he was going to become the prime minister, which should have been a forward-looking speech, which should have been a speech laying out a roadmap on what the government is going to do, which is not a very stable government in many ways, which is a very weak government in many ways, and it's a government which has come into power on the back of a stolen mandate. Everybody knows it. I don't think anybody can deny it. You hobbled the opposition party, you put all kinds of obstacles, and despite that, if those guys, and I'm no fan of Imran Khan, let me assure you, but if despite all of that, they managed to get over 90 seats in such a heavily tilted election, which means that they would have probably got a simple majority, if not a two-thirds majority, if it had been a free and fair election. And yet, you have a loser like Shehbaz Sharif being made prime minister, who's trying to pretend that he's some kind of a great statesman, talking about Kashmir, Palestine, and I don't know, God knows whatever else he's talking about, and not talking about the actual potential problems that Pakistan is facing. Clearly tells you they are at their wits' end. They've formed a government for whatever that's worth, but I don't see how this government is going to be able to deliver anything much. You know, they have fancy plans. They've set up this new organization, which is actually the real government, which is already there in office. It's called the SIFC. The army is going to control it. They will control virtually everything in Pakistan. So, in many ways, Shehbaz Sharif is a rubber stamp. So, it doesn't matter what he says or what he does. But guys really have no idea. If you look at the latest figures, what is the amount of investment that has come in ever since this SIFC has been created? They were supposed to bring in $70 billion over 2 years. There's been disinvestment in Pakistan over the last year or so. So, frankly, these are the biggest problem is not the economic problem. The biggest problem is not anything else. The biggest problem is not their obsession with Islam. The biggest problem is not, and the fact that they think they're the Thekedar of Islam. The biggest problem is not the security problems and the terrorism problems that they face. Their biggest problem is they've run out of ideas.
In fact, over the course of the weekend debate, Sushant, we would certainly like to explore what perhaps would be the global ramification of it, because it is easier to brush this under the carpet, and we may look a little myopic if we really do not perhaps stress upon the fact that an unstable Pakistan does not really augur well for the entire subcontinent. I'm not talking about a dialogue with Pakistan, but there is way more than that. Usma Zahid, I want to ask you, as a Pakistani, today, if the economy of Pakistan has to be afloat, according to an economist based in Pakistan,
can I just make a short comment before you go to? See, it's not for India to decide or for the world to decide what happens in Pakistan. It's for the people of Pakistan to decide what happens in Pakistan. It's for the state of Pakistan to decide what happens in Pakistan. If you're going to hold an election and then steal the mandate of the people, then you're asking for trouble. It might not be visible right now, but as things go forward and as some very tough decisions will have to be taken, a government without a mandate will not be able to deliver. Now, this is a problem that the Pakistanis have called upon themselves. I don't see what I can do about it, and I don't see any reason why I need to shed tears over the predicament of Pakistan, partly because they consider me an enemy, and I'm happy to wear that crown of, crown which they're putting on my head, and I don't consider it a crown of thorns. So they made me an enemy, so I'll treat them as an enemy, and I don't care very much what really happens to them.
Okay, fair enough. We'll look into the other aspects of it also, because that's an argument that many would like to put forth, that if Pakistan does not want to change, then what can anyone really do about it? But Sushant, the other thing is also about, for the first time, perhaps you would see the Pakistanis have also put up a fight against the military. That's another aspect that we'll look into. But Usma, let me ask you this question as a Pakistani here. I'm hoping that you would be fair enough to make an argument on this entire matter, because if the economy of Pakistan has to remain afloat, according to an economist based in Pakistan, it would require anything between $6 billion to about $8 billion, which would essentially mean that more austerity measures to be brought in. In the past, we have seen when austerity measures were brought in, what really happened and how the country was up in arms. Usma, your leader today does not feel the pinch of how exactly would he run a country which is on ventilator at this point in time. Is that okay with you? Is that fine that it wouldn't really bother you much?
देखिए, जिस तरह से ऊपर मौसूफ ने बड़ी जबरदस्त बात की है, हमारा सबसे बड़ा मसला इस वक्त अवामी मैंडेट को लेके चलना है। अवामी मैंडेट को इस इलेक्शन में तस्लीम नहीं किया गया। अवामी मैंडेट इमरान खान के साथ था और मखसूस शख्सियात ने इलेक्टेबल्स सामने लेके आए हैं। शहबाज शरीफ अवामी वज़ीर आज़म नहीं है, गवर्नमेंट जो है ये अवामी नहीं है। इमरान खान का मैंडेट जो है वो चोरी किया गया बेसिकली, और इसके अलावा तहरीक लबैक है, जमात इस्लामी है, मौलाना फजल रहमान की पार्टी है, बड़ी पार्टीज को ऐवान से बाहर फेंका गया। सिर्फ मुस्लिम लीग नून और पीपल्स पार्टी के लिए रास्ता हमवार करने के लिए। हम ये समझते हैं, हमारी कौम ये समझती है, जो इस वक्त मौजूदा सिचुएशन हम फेस कर रहे हैं, कि हमारी इकॉनमी बेहतर होने के लिए, मुआशत बेहतर होने से पहले हमें सियासी तौर पे जो है इस वक्त स्टेबिलिटी की जरूरत है, जिसमें हम यकसर कमजोर हैं। हमें हमारा मैंडेट जो है चोरी किया गया, जो अवामी मैंडेट को सही तरीके से यूज नहीं किया गया, गलत तरीके से गवर्नमेंट बनाई गई है, गलत तरीके से वजीर आजम का चुनाव किया गया, और ये गवर्नमेंट जो है ये ज्यादा देर नहीं चल पाएगी। जब गवर्नमेंट ज्यादा देर नहीं चल पाएगी तो हम किस तरह से अपनी मुआशरत को समझ सकते हैं कि स्टेबल हो पाएगी। साल 1.5 साल की गवर्नमेंट आगे क्या प्लान दे सकती है, किस तरह से मुआशरत को कंट्रोल कर सकती है। साल 1.5 साल की गवर्नमेंट कोई बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट जो है वो आवाम के लिए लॉन्च नहीं कर सकती। हम ये समझते हैं ये सियासी
उस्मान
खेल था, जिसके लिए हमने
उस्मान
50 अरब
जाहिद
रुपए
के बाद
जाया
आप
कर दिया,
क्या आप
और ये खेल किसी के साल 1.5 साल बाद खत्म हो जाएगा।
उस्मान जाहिद आपको कई उस पर जाहिद सबको पता है कि जिस तरह से पाकिस्तानी आर्मी और आईएसआई पूरे देश को चलाती है, और ये सबको पता था, तो ये कहना कि चुरा लिया गया है, ये आपको पता था कि ये पहले भी हो चुका है और होता रहेगा। अगर आप जैसे कहते कि आवाम जिस दिन उनको पता चले कि आखिरकार एक देश तभी चल सकता है जब उनकी मिलिट्री अलग रहे, पर जब आप मिलिट्री को ही अलग ना रखना चाहे तो आपकी दशा ऐसी ही रहेगी।
कि आप हो या मैं हूं, कोई भी किसी भी दुनिया से ताल्लुक रखने वाला शख्स वो कभी नहीं चाहेगा कि जिनकी ड्यूटी सरहदों पे है वो आके वाने इक़्तिदार में बैठ जाएं। हम हमारे समेत कोई भी कौम ये नहीं चाहेगी कि फौज का काम हरगिज़ ये नहीं है कि वो इक़्तिदार में आए या इक़्तिदार में बैठे लोगों को पुष्टपनाही करे। ये एक 1947 से लेकर अब तक हम इसको फेस कर रहे हैं। हम ये कहें कि पिछले 2-4 साल की गेम है, तो इन एस्टेब्लिशमेंट के किरदार को हमारे सियासतदान एक्सेप्ट करते हैं कि एस्टेब्लिशमेंट का किरदार है सियासत में। हमारे अवाम ये समझती है कि है। वो एक नागज़ीर सूरत-ए-हाल इख्तियार हो चुकी है, जिसको खत्म करना अब कैसे होगा ये मैं नहीं जानता, लेकिन ताकत का सरचश्मा आखिरकार अवाम है। अवाम करे तो कुछ हो सकता है, अदरवाइज जिस तरह से ये निज़ाम चल रहा है इसकी हमें कुछ समझ नहीं आ रही। ना ही दुनिया कोई
Well,
इसको सीरियस ले सकती है जब तक हमारे पास कोई
one would
मजबूत
certainly hope
सियासी
that
तौर
one would
पर
certainly
नहीं
hope that there would be good sense prevails. One would certainly hope that good sense prevails. But Dr. Amjad, let me bring you in. We have essentially seen the acrimonious relationship between the PTI and the military leadership. Some say that perhaps that is going to swing back and things could actually change for Pakistan. But as someone who's been tracking Pakistan for a very long time, are you hopeful of the fact that things could actually change, or you believe that this is only going to continue? And perhaps, as far as the Balochistan matter is also concerned, that would also linger on for a very long time because Pakistan needs something to cling on to.
Thank you very much. You see, the fact that elections have taken place, and before that, Imran Khan's government was kicked out to a vote of no confidence, engineered vote of no confidence, is testament to the fact that Pakistan is not run smoothly. There are big issues in Pakistan on political as well as economic level, and politics is maybe more now a hurdle in the development of Pakistan as a sustainable economy, because the military of Pakistan does not stop interfering in politics. And one of the main reasons that Pakistan army interferes in politics is to keep a check on the private sector, so that the private sector does not strengthen itself or becomes stronger enough to challenge the military industrial complex. And this is not an army, this is a business enterprise. The generals are corrupt, and right down to the Subedar, Havaldar, they are all corrupt. They take bribes even. छुट्टी देने के लिए जो है सिपाही वो सूबेदार हवलदार को 1000 रुपये 500 रुपया रिश्वत देकर छुट्टी पे जाता है. So I don't see any chance what ironic was that the newly elected Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Shehbaz Sharif, said in his debut speech that the my wages, the wages of the president, the wages of the speaker, deputy speaker, and all those who are sitting in the house comes from the loan money. यानी ये जो तनख्वाहें हैं ये कर्जे के पैसों से हमें दी जा रही. So I would like to someone who's brave enough to scrutinize how much wages are they getting and cut them down. Pakistan has to pay about $24 to $25 billion this year in debt servicing and loan repayments. Where is that money going to come from? 6 to 8 billion rupees, no, sorry, dollars as foreign exchange reserves is not enough at all. And even that, 6 to 8 out of that, 90% of it is based on loan money. I don't see Pakistan going anywhere. Pakistan, IMF is going to ask them to start taxing pensions now, and also bring tax these private sector people like the shop assistant and dispenser in a clinic and a part-time driver and all these people into the tax net as well and raise 500 billion rupees of additional taxes. The prices of fuel are going to go up, and in the coming months, I think it will be totally unbearable for the people of Pakistan, the lower strata, social strata of the people of Pakistan to survive. I don't know how they're going to manage. And why the Pakistan Party not join the cabinet is testimony again to the fact that see that उधर है ही कुछ नहीं. And तो गालियां खाने से बेहतर है we sit in the house and enjoy, having a good time. I see no hope for Pakistan. And when I would like also when you come to Kashmir, I want to say something about Kashmir, but now we are talking about Pakistan economy, Shehbaz Sharif, so I'll finish on this.
Okay. If there is one country that were watching this extremely closely, it was certainly China, with, of course, with CPEC and BRI really not on track, and about $50 billion that has already been invested. Andrew Ling, let me bring you in right now. China was certainly hoping that there would be some stability, but this election offers none. Pakistan perhaps is in no position to deliver any, a situation where they would be able to give a conducive environment as far as your Chinese workers are concerned. So where does that put China in this entire picture? Because you're essentially putting in money in a country which is extremely unstable, and it only makes things difficult for the Chinese.
There are all sorts of relatively unstable countries around China's borders, but Pakistan occupies a very important position in China's relations to Central Asia and, of course, to India and the rest of the world. And likewise, Pakistan depends on connections with China in the form of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is held up as very important conduit to drive Pakistan's economy. Now, as for the Pakistan's military, like it or not, it is going to remain a very important force in Pakistan politics because the neighbors of Pakistan are changing with Afghanistan, with the Taliban, with the Middle East. All the dynamics are changing. So the army is likely to play an increasingly important role. And the dynamics surrounding Pakistan are actually going in many ways coincide with the security concerns of China. So I can see that China's relationship with Pakistan is likely to even strengthen in the changed dynamics in the region and in the world, for that matter.
Andrew Ling, you appear to be quite optimistic. I'm not very sure that anyone else is very optimistic of how things are going to really pan out, but so be it, because given the fact that you do not have much of a choice. Dr. Joseph, actually, let me bring you in. Dr. Joseph, as Sushant was also pointing out, that today Pakistan has essentially run out of any new idea. What else really explains that you have a prime minister who's staring at economic despair, chooses to rather talk about an issue which is done and dusted? The matter is over, but the Pakistani Prime Minister would like to perhaps cling on to what they believe is the K factor, which gives them that adrenaline rush.
It's very interesting. While I congratulate Prime Minister Sharif on his new appointment or selection or election, however you want to call it, I also question the moral authority America has in telling Pakistan what to do anymore, because imagine President Biden is doing something very similar, to what Pakistan did to Imran Khan. So, I'm pretty sure President Biden is also hoping if President Trump had stolen a couple of watches, it would have been easier to handle it here. So, all jokes aside, Pakistan is going through a very, very tough challenge. It's not just the economy what matters. It's it has a tri-front war it's happening. It's a conflict with India, with Afghanistan, with Iran at the same time. And then, on comparison, we have an Indian Prime Minister and Indian cabinet, at the same time discussing the Viksit Bharat and the developed India for the next 25, 50 years, and the plans to have a developed India. Pakistan Prime Minister, on his maiden speech, he's talking about, hey, we'll get your tax refunds back in 10 days. We're going to prevent water theft and power theft. We're going to prevent or we're going to run the buses on time in Lahore. And it shows in comparison. But unfortunately, this country is a nuclear-powered neighbor of ours. A stable Pakistan is a need of the subcontinent. So it's in the best interest of India somehow to, again, I'm not sure. He might have got 1 year with the Chinese government to pay back the money. I'm also sure the U.S. government would love them to negotiate with IMF. IMF is not going to come back with the free money. They're going to demand structural reforms in economics, and that's going to be really tough in the sense, whether it is paying for the stuff, raising cost of fuel, raising no more freebies to everybody. So if that happens, he will become unpopular. That's my fear, is that if that happens, then the Bhuttos might pull the support, and we might have another unstable government again. So let's hope Pakistan and for the sake of the subcontinent, that he remains stable and bring up a stable subcontinent, and hopefully he would propose a friendship with India. India is the only country which can support them right now, not to bring in the K medicine or the K pill to rally the crowd for the time being. A permanent solution, a permanent peace solution, might be a friendship with enemy.
Sushant, what I also want to, perhaps put the spotlight on is, does it really come across as a surprise to you that you've had the Pakistanis at least putting up a fight now, simply saying that the design of the military is out and exposed? Perhaps the Pakistanis too do realize the fact that you cannot run the country with the military's myopic vision. Is that an optimistic note? Can we see that on an optimistic note, or would you say that this is just a hogwash?
Okay, Shravan, I need to say a couple of things here. More we talk, and I'll come to your question in a bit. The more we talk about how important it is for there to be stability in a nuclear-armed Pakistan, what we're effectively doing is rewarding Pakistan for bad behavior. And that's the simple reality. The Pakistanis see that their instability is now a money spinner for them. And the more you keep doubling down on the fact and expressing fears of Pakistan spiraling out of control, the more the Pakistanis have, or the less the Pakistani incentive to fix their own country at their cost, not at my cost or at Andrew Doing's cost or somebody else's cost. They need to fix their own problem, right? Yeah, some IMF and others will help them. But the IMF has helped them 23 times in the past. What have they done with that? The Chinese, for example, have pumped in money. Now, Andrew Lewing is okay. It's all very well for them to argue because there was a time when the Americans were the sugar daddies of Pakistan, and they thought that the Pakistan army is the most important component in Pakistan, and they backed the Pakistan army. And democracy and all of that stuff was for other people, right? They would lecture to the rest of the world on democracy, but never to Pakistan because they had an in with the Pakistan army. Now the Americans have been replaced by the Chinese, who are the new sugar daddies. The Chinese also know that if they ask for their money back, they're not going to get it. So the best thing to do is keep rolling it over and keep charging them a hefty rate of interest. Exactly what Shylock would do, right? So that's the Chinese game plan. What is the new money they are giving? Have they given any grants? At least the Americans would give the Pakistanis grants. The Chinese give no grants to Pakistan, unless, of course, it's nuclear weapons technology and other stuff, which they give them free of cost. And the only thing which ties an Islamophobic Pakistan, China with Islamist Pakistan is their mutual hatred for India. And let's make no bones about it. So all these delusions which we have that India and Pakistan are suddenly going to become very good friends and all of that, I'm sorry, that's not going to work. Which leads me to the question which you have raised. The point is that, at one level, yes, the vote which has been cast in Pakistan is a huge rebuff to the Pakistan army and its political engineering plans, right? Those have been devastated in many ways. But are Imran Khan's supporters actually supporters of democracy? Imran Khan is a fascist. Just look at his 3.5 years in office. He's a complete and undiluted fascist. He's always been that. He loves the Taliban. He wants Taliban-type justice in Pakistan. He's an unabashed Islamist. He has actually destroyed the Pakistani education system in many ways. I could go on and on. I can take the entire evening to tell you what all he has done to Pakistan. Right? The point is that his supporters, do you think they are actually people who actually want democracy in its liberal, progressive form in Pakistan? Far from it. This is an internal fight between Imran Khan and the Pakistan army. It has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with his supporters saying that, okay, fine, all these problems which Pakistan is facing. Who created the problems in Afghanistan, if not Pakistan? Who created the problems with Iran by sponsoring Sunni terrorists who are functioning in Iran? Who created the problems with India by sponsoring terrorism in Punjab earlier in the Northeast, later in Punjab, then in Kashmir? Who sponsors groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed who come and carry out bomb blasts in India? Now, you can't put that on me. That is on Pakistan's head. So to blame everybody else and blame the circumstances in which Pakistan is caught and absolve them for having created those circumstances, I don't understand this logic. And Imran Khan's support base actually swears by the traditional Pakistan concept of security, which is hatred towards the Hindu and hatred towards India. There are no ifs and buts about it. There are some delusional fools in India who actually think Imran Khan really knows India, but then Imran Khan even knows Uzbekistan better than the Uzbeks. He knows Greenland better than the Greenlanders. He knows every godforsaken place in the world better than that place. He probably knows the Chinese better than Andrew Leung knows China. So, with that kind of a guy, really think that if he was or his support base is actually going to be conducive to good relations with India? Far from it. So this is a mess of Pakistan's making. This is a mess for Pakistan to solve. We should sit, eat popcorn, watch, raise our defenses, guard ourselves. And if I was to advise the Prime Minister, After today's speech of Shehbaz Sharif, I don't think the Prime Minister of India would do that. I would not even send him a routine congratulatory measure. Let them stew in their juice. Why are we bothered with them? But we will do it. And Shravan, this is the problem even with you.
Sushant,
When you start this program, you raise this issue on how India-Pakistan relations can be normalized. They'll never be normalized, perish the thought. And the more you talk about it, the more you validate the Pakistanis thinking that they can stall India's progress by being hostile to India. And the history proves that that's not the case. So I'll rest my case out there.
Sushant, you were almost falling short of saying that, look here, there is no point of doing any more
I'm
debates
almost falling
about
short of
Pakistan.
starting
It's
off
better
in
to
Punjabi,
just.
but I'll stop out there.
I believe, whatever the situation, the way it is, Kaswar, you've heard the arguments that have been put forth. I think so. Everyone agrees on one point, and that being that the current situation that Pakistan is essentially facing is its own mess. The recommendations that were actually made by some within Pakistan also seem to have been completely rejected, going back to the same old issue. As a Pakistani, not just as a journalist, Kaswar, let me ask you that question, because you've crisscrossed Pakistan, and you've perhaps been far more brutal and honest about the current situation in Pakistan. Where is it really headed now?
Well, I think we are heading towards a point of no return, because until the politicians and the Pakistan's armed forces and intelligence agencies remains in their own demand, I think Pakistan will continue to head towards a point of no return. Every institution will have to do what has been assigned to them as well, as my colleagues have rightly pointed out. So I think Pakistan's front setup, and now the Shehbaz Sharif is going to take oath tomorrow, and the cabinet, he will form the cabinet. But this is just a continual of the process, democratic setup as well. But people of Pakistan are not expecting this government and definitely its cabinet and whatsoever. They believe that these people doesn't have the mandate to do something for Pakistan and the people of Pakistan. And that is my analysis as well. Pakistan is heading towards a point of no return, Chairman.
Dr. Amjad, as far as several Baloch activists have also been arguing that perhaps right now one cannot find any solution, because with the current regime and the very fact that you have General Asim at the helm of affairs, nothing really can change perhaps. Where do you really see the other countries really come in, particularly the United States of America and the United Kingdom? Because when it comes to Pakistan, it seems that there is no clear idea as to how exactly would you deal with a nation as unstable as Pakistan.
Well, Balochistan is from one crisis to another over the past decade at least. Not only there is a question of missing persons, there is a question of the freedom struggle, armed freedom struggle, very vicious freedom struggle. Only a few days ago, during the last week, actually, at least 10 Pakistani soldiers have been hit again. Hundreds of Pakistan military personnel has already died in Pakistan. Many times they have abandoned their checkposts and gone down the mountains. And now, recently, there was this long march from Turbat, Islamabad. The women, people, children, old men, from the families of those who have been made to disappear, they'll march with bare feet. Islamabad, sat there for 2 months. Nobody came to look at them. National media in the beginning did not report them, but then there was a lot of UN guys who just like passing remark in the news, they mentioned them. And on the 61st day, they left Islamabad. They went back, and their leader, Farang Baloch, issued a statement, and she said, "We are taking the hate that we have been given in Islamabad back to Pakistan." And she's hailed as a hero, I mean, like a hero in Balochistan. Now there are floods, and the infrastructure place to deal with the monsoon rains. So half of Balochistan is drowned, and people have no shelter, no food. They have no, way to carry on with their daily life. But more important than Balochistan, if you allow me, you can stop me whenever you like, but I would try to talk about Shehbaz Sharif's comment on Kashmir, which I think is very important. He said that in his speech, he compared Kashmir, Indian Union territory of Kashmir to Gaza. He said that the blood is still flowing in the streets of Kashmir. And, I was listening to his speech when live, and I was so upset because nothing but lie. He failed to mention the living conditions of 7 million Indian citizens who are living in Pakistani occupied Jammu, Kashmir, and Gilgit-Baltistan, who have been protesting every day for the past 2 years, and for the past 1 year, there has been a boycott movement. In the past 10 months, we have observed three general strikes. The fourth one is on day after tomorrow, on the 5th of March. We have no flour, we have no food. People in Titripur and Madarpur have locked down the flour depots. They are saying that we are going to march towards the line of control. Allow us to Punch and Rajouri to buy food for our families. So he did not mention the load shedding, he did not mention the broken infrastructure of Pakistani occupied Jammu Kashmir, the fact that we do not have snake bite or dog bite vaccines in so-called Azad Kashmir. But he made sure that he will attack Indian Union Territory, Kashmir, where nobody starves, nobody goes without food to bed. But we are starving. Our workers have not been paid wages for more than 1 year. Pensions have not been paid for more than 10 months. Poor people. We have more than 1 million youth unemployed. On last year, on the 15th of June, 130 of POJK youth between the age of 18 to 25 drowned on the shores of the sea in Greece because they were illegally trying to get to Europe. So I think that this is nothing is going to change. We are Indian citizens. 7 million Indian citizens are living under the occupation of Pakistan. We will fight democratically, non-violently till the end. The day we are reincorporated in the Republic of India, and they know that. They know the level of dissent and the level of hatred in POJK and Gilgit-Baltistan, Pakistan. And all I would like to say is that Pakistan went down.
In fact, Dr.
Pakistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they said that we don't accept the border with Pakistan because there's no border, it's an imaginary border, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa belongs to Afghanistan.
But Dr. Amjad, I'll just get one final word.
लेकिन कश्मीर के ऊपर वो बात कर सकता है क्योंकि finally
since you make a mention of Afghanistan, Dr. Amjad,
in which I said that Pakistan has generated so many different narratives regarding Kashmir and POJK, like Khud Mukhtari, Azadi, United Nations, blah, 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 that it has confused people of POJK. But I am not confused. My party is confused. We are discussing and we are campaigning for the reunification of Jammu Kashmir, which in today's day and age is only possible by rejoining the Republic of India.
Since you make a mention of Afghanistan, I'll just get one quick final word from Dr. Joseph. Dr. Joseph, just about a few days ago, you've had that comment being made by Afghanistan with regards to the Durand line and the open threat that has been issued by Afghanistan. Now, that is something that the Pakistanis would find it extremely difficult to digest. But as I said, it only adds to the vulnerability.
It is so sad what things are happening here. As you know, America needs a stable, we spent our sweat and our blood in Afghanistan. We need a stable Afghanistan not to be taken over by radical Islam. An unstable Pakistan might become a breeding ground for that in the future. So when Pakistan airline staff are abandoning ship and leaving and seeking asylum in Canada and diplomats are caught stealing for stuff, it's in the best interest of US. And I hope, because the problem is election years are near, this is elections coming in India, elections coming in the US, it's going to be very sensitive. Whichever party comes into power in the US, will need to put Pakistan with the strong support and the strong control over what's happening, and somehow we need to control what's happening in Afghanistan. Afghanistan needs peace and stability, not interference from Pakistan army and the Pakistan people. So I wish there'll be more peace, but unfortunately that's not what's happening. And then there's the Iranian issue, which is happening right now, which is also bothering everybody else. So it's not just a one-front war for Pakistan. It's not an economic issue. It is a headache for the rest of the world. And I hope and pray that the new government get its act together and control and stabilize the economy of Pakistan.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on the weekend debate. One would only hope that some remedies would come in, but as Sushant was pointing out, it's perhaps too much to really expect that there would be a change in Pakistan at this stage. Thank you very much for joining us on the weekend debate.